Hello, my name is Alicia from My Crafty Pursuits, and today we're going to be making these hanging octopus planters. This video here is a help video, so it doesn't give the full pattern tutorial, but it does show you how to make some of the parts that some people may have some questions about. The full pattern will be in my Ravelry shop, and I will leave a link in the description below. Some of the items we will need to make this octopus plant holder would be our 5mm crochet hook, along with our base color of yarn, which is approximately 160 yards, a secondary color of your choosing, and that would be about 80 yards for this tentacle part down here. And then for the hanger option, if you'd like to hang instead of just having them sit, it's about another 10 yards. We'll also need some scissors, tapestry needle, 25mm safety eyes, or whatever size you choose. A stitch marker can be helpful to have, as well as some jewelry pliers. And then you could either use a pipe cleaner or some floral or jewelry wire to put into the border, and that just helps so you can bend your tentacles any way that you'd like them to sit. And then a base, so some sort of liner on the inside. And I generally use yogurt cups, or you can use the base of a 1.5 liter bottle and just cut it off. I put a little bit of tape around mine so it doesn't have any sharp edges. Or if you want to make one that's a little bit smaller, so this uses a hook size smaller, you can use your starts, so just a little jar to do your propagating. If you need help with the base, there's a bear plant holder tutorial, and I'll link that below. We're going to start with our base already made for this tutorial video, so let's get started. Once we have the base of our octopus planter, we're going to then do the base of the tentacles, which is going to be a single crochet row. So we have put a stitch marker in the 27th round of our base, and we place a stitch marker because the 27th round is 40 stitches around. Depending on where you want the split in your tentacles to be, you can count from there. So we'll follow our 27th row around, and wherever we want our split to be, that would be our 1st or 5th stitch. And so we can count back in sets of 5, so when we place our first stitch, we'll have our tentacles in the right place. So this would be the first stitch. So we're gonna do a post stitch. So we're gonna go around the single crochet. And we're gonna follow that 27th round all the way, doing post stitches for the base of our tentacle. And you should have 40 single crochets when we finish this single crochet round. Once we have finished single crocheting all the way around, we want to count to make sure that we have 40 single crochets. And once we know that we have 40, we can slip stitch to join. And then we're going to start the top part of our tentacles, so the color that's within the same color as our base. We're going to chain 1. And we're going to work in our front loops only, so the loop closest to us. So we have our front loops here, our back loops here. So we're going to be working front loops all the way around. And we're going to start off with doing our single crochet of 5. And then we're going to follow the instructions as written all the way up. And then we're going to cut, tie, and then rejoin into the next stitch over. For the last row of our tentacle, we're not going to chain. We're just going to slip stitch. And then we're going to do our chain 3, slip stitching into that first chain we made, and then slip stitch. And then we're going to cut and tie off. And this gives us the first tentacle of our octopus. And we'll continue to do this until we have 8 tentacles for our octopus. Once we have 8 top of tentacles, we'll start on the bottom part of our tentacles. We're going to take a new color or an accent color for the bottom part of our tentacles. And we're going to want to make sure that we match up with the top part of our tentacles. So we're going to work the back loops only of that base of tentacle round. And we'll make sure that we're working the same 5 stitches as the top of our tentacle so we can do a border around both when we match them up. Where we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch, and then we're going to single crochet our base round, and then we'll follow the instructions in the PDF to finish out our tentacle. And we will do 8 bottom of the tentacles that match up with the 8 top of our tentacles. Now that we have the bottom of each of our tentacles, we're going to be doing a border to sew the top and the bottom together. And we're going to be inserting either a pipe cleaner or some wire. And in order to insert it, we'll take our 12-inch pipe cleaner and fold it in half to create the point. And then we can kind of measure along our tentacle. And we'll bend the ends and create a triangle that we will stuff into our border. So jewelry pliers help to fold in those ends so they are not pointy. Then we'll place this on the inside. We'll go back to our base color. And we will go through the first row of our bottom tentacle, and then through our pipe cleaner or our wire, and then through the top of our tentacle, single crochet all the way around. So there'll be 15 up one side, a peacock stitch, and then 15 down the other side. In order to hide the pipe cleaner better within the border, the first one I will go around the pipe cleaner, and then the second one, the pipe cleaner will be on the inside. And then we'll move back and forth, so through our bottom tentacle, under our pipe cleaner, through the top part of the tentacle, single crochet, alternating with the stitch through the bottom tentacle on the top or above the pipe cleaner, through the top part of the tentacle, and single crochet. When we finish with the 15th single crochet, we should have the 2 peacock stitches from the bottom and the top tentacle into that first chain of the peacock stitch. On both, we're going to go back loop of the bottom tentacle, front loop of the top tentacle, and we're going to slip stitch. And then we'll do our chain 3, slip stitch into that first chain, and then that slip stitch from both the bottom and the top tentacle. We're going to go through the back loop of the bottom tentacle and the front loop of that top tentacle, and we're going to slip stitch to create the point on our tentacle. And then we will work our 15 single crochets back down this other side. And we'll work them the same way that we did the first side going up. So we work under over that pipe cleaner so it hides well within the border of the. Once we make it down the other side of the tentacle, we're going to slip stitch into the base of the tentacle to anchor them. And then we will move on to the next where we're doing our border. If you're using wire, you do the same as the pipe cleaner. Place it between the 2 layers of tentacle, and we're going to go through the bottom tentacle, under that wire, through the top tentacle, and single crochet. 15 up this side. We'll do our slip stitches and our peacock at the top of the tentacle, and then we are going to single crochet 15 back down and repeat on all 8 tentacles. Once we finish all the way around with the first round of our border, our wires will be pretty well hidden, and you'll be able to move your tentacles in any position you would like. The second round could be optional. We're going to go through every single crochet that we made and do a twisted single crochet all the way around. When we make it to the very tip of our tentacle, we'll go on each side and just skip over that very tip part of the peacock stitch. So this is our tentacle with the twisted crochet for that border and our tentacle without, and you can decide which one you would like to have for your octopus. So we're just going to continue around the next 7 tentacles until we get back to our first twisted single crochet. Once we have finished the last twisted single crochet, we're going to slip stitch into the base of the stitch that first single crochet was in. And then we're going to tie off, and once we finish doing our twisted single crochet all the way around, our tentacles are finished, so we can twist them in any direction you would like them to sit. We're then going to make the hanger for this guy. So we're going to take our hanger color, we're going to slip stitch into this front loop of round 14 that's left. We're slip stitch to join. Then we're going to chain 60. Once we have our chain, we're going to skip 17 stitches, and this 18th stitch that we're going to be working in should be pretty directly across from the slip stitch that you initially joined with. Then we're going to slip stitch 8, so still working in the same direction. Once we have slip stitched our 8, we're going to again chain 60. Then gonna skip the next 18. So working into that 19th stitch, and again it should be pretty close to directly across from that base of the chain. Then we're gonna slip stitch 9. On that last slip stitch, it should be right next to the chain, or the start of the starting chain. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to work in the back bumps of this chain. So we have our front 2 loops, and on the back we have this 3rd loop, which is the back bump of the chain. And we're going to single crochet 60 in each back bump. So we'll have 60 crochets, which will bring us to the other side of this chain. Once we make it down the chain, it'll bring us back to the base. And so we're gonna slip stitch 8, which should bring us to the base of the chain on our 8th slip stitch. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to single crochet in each of the 60 back bumps of the other chain. Once we do our 60th single crochet, it should bring us back to the base. And then we're going to slip stitch back into that round 14 of the body until we make it back to our starting slip stitch. When we make it back to our starting slip stitch, we can slip stitch into that. And then we will cut and tie off our hanger color. Once we have weaved in our ends, then we have the hanger to our octopus planner. We can put our cup back inside. And then we will add a plant and hang up our octopus. Thank you for joining me in making these octopus plant holders. I would love to see the one that you have made. Please tag me at My Crafty Pursuits on Facebook or Instagram and share those photos. I hope to see you again. And here are some up close videos of the plant holders I have created.